Hello and welcome to Live with Dr. Stem. I'm so excited because this week I'm talking about a topic that is dear to my heart. So there's going to be a part one and part two. Today I'm going to be talking about part one. How are you? How's your week been? I've been so busy, but excitingly busy. I just came back from Washington State where I was speaking on men and mental health last weekend. Oh my goodness. What a phenomenal time that was. It is a topic that we need to continue talking about and normalizing men and mental health. But this week I decided let's talk about self-care. And this is part one of self-care. Self-care is non-negotiable. It is not something that needs to be an option. The more you rest and take care of yourself, the more nourished and relaxed that you feel so that you can keep showing up as the healthiest version of yourself. Self-care is a need and a must. Self-care allows us to maintain a healthy relationship with ourselves so that we can properly take care of our mental health, our physical, spiritual health as well. It's also important to remember that self-care looks different to everyone. It's about what works for you and what makes you feel good. It's about what works for you and what makes you feel good. Therefore, self-care is not only for your well-being, but also the productivity and the things that you get to do. The year is ending. So there are things that need to be done. There are places that you need to go in order for you to end the year with what I call a bang. Okay. So there are 8 main areas that need to be taken care of or thought about when we are talking about self-care. We are talking about physical, psychological, emotional, social, professional, environmental, spiritual, and financial. All those things need to be taken care of. You've got to find time to relax. You've got a time to nourish your spiritual, financial. So I'm going to be talking about how to easily fulfill all of those areas. Because a self-care should never feel like it's a chore or an expensive, thing that you have to do. So you want to choose activities and things that make you relax, that make you comfortable. And you want to be able to switch them up whenever you're taking time, which I call me time, right? So in this part one, let me share with you 4 simple ways to practice self-care every day. You ready? Number 1, physical self-care. Amongst the 8 areas that we discuss, your physical self-care is perhaps the most critical self-care because a lack in this area can affect all other areas of self-care. So right now, whilst I'm visiting Boston, where my mother and my sisters and my brothers are, I join my sister, Mini Nikki. We have power walks every morning at 6 a.m. And we laugh and we talk and we walk around the water. They have a little body of water, which is an ocean, really. She calls it beach therapy. But we do that every day, Monday through Friday. Well, when I'm in Florida, where I am, from, I do that on my own. But then when I come here, I try to recruit as many of them as possible in the morning. So we do a sister power walk. And lately I've been doing more of that, with Nikki. But physical, self-care includes a well-balanced diet as well. So exercising regularly is a good thing, but you also have to eat well, sleep well. You also have to find ways to boost your energy so that you can contribute to your overall well-being. You can ensure that you remain in good health by focusing on these things on your physical health. That is eating healthy and a healthy, nourishing meal, whatever that is for you. Moving your body daily, walking, running, or working out, doing, exercising from YouTube or something. Walk around, move around. take vitamins, drink lots of water. As soon as you wake up, I drink warm water because my mom forces me to drink warm water once I'm here. So I drink warm water, at least a glass or two of warm water every morning. But they recommend that you drink water every morning, whether it's cold or hot. Drink water. The reason why my mom says drink warm water because then it also helps with the bowel movements in the morning and stuff. So you gotta drink some water. Warm water has worked perfect for me, and I'm grateful that she monitors. Did you drink your water? I say I have to drink it, right? You also have to get between 7 and 8 hours of really good sleep. Many people are busy, and get to bed about 12 midnight, up at 4 or 5. No, you need to sleep. Sitting in the sun is really good because you soak in vitamin D. I know it's way hot right now, like in Florida, where I'm from. It's too hot. You don't want to sit too long in that heat. But every day, find a way that you can have at least 5-10 minutes of exposure where you are exposed to, the sunshine. Spending time in nature is also great way of nurturing your physical health. Having soothing hot baths or showers, that also will help with your physical health. Number 2, mental self-care. Mental self-care involves, not only your mental health, but psychological and cognitive thinking, which is the things that you think about and the things that you process and deal with. So mental wellness means everything that happens in your life has to be processed. And I'm saying this because, sometimes some things happen in our life, right? And we just think that, I've dealt with it, let it go. What an examples of grief. If you lose someone to death and you grieve them and you bury them, many a time we think, okay, that's gone, and I've dealt with that. But what happens, especially with grief, and I'm saying that with grief because then I know that's one of those things that always comes back around because something triggers it. Whether we're seeing on social media that somebody has lost their loved one, it triggers again our own losses. Whether somebody, says that they have a loved one who's sick and then they lose that someone, it triggers our loss. So processing it means you make some time to talk about, how that death or that loss has impacted you. And not only death, divorces, breakups, separations, illnesses, all those things affect our mental health and need to be talked about and processed so that you can get into a good space that even when you're triggered, you now have coping skills, you now have ways of dealing with that pain that constantly will come, over and over again. It doesn't mean that it will ever go away, but what it means is you will have ways to deal with that pain that will help you in the long run. So a proper, healthy mindset is what you are striving for, because then when you have a healthy mindset, things will trigger you, but you're able to deal with those things. Mental self-care activities that you may do include learning a new skill, a new language. It takes your mind away from, a lot of things when you're learning a new things. Setting big, audacious goals, it gives you something to work towards and, keep you going. Also, read personal, growth books, some healthy, inspirational, empowerment books. You're seeing me, if you're on my social media, I'm posting many of my books. I've written over 40 books now. So I have little books that are easy to read. You can download on your phone, on your computer, and read those books. Every day, I can promise you that you will be nourished. But many of the things that I write in my books are everyday things, everyday, advice that you might not see every day, but when you read it in my book, you're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. And that's, my intention, to continue to stimulate your mind and to continue to also empower, inspire, and encourage you. Journaling is a good practice for mental health as well, writing things down. I always encourage people to say, you know what, when they hear about journaling, they say, well, but then, I don't have everything to write about every day. I did a whole new course, which I will share with you, Jeremiah. I did a whole course on teaching people how to journal so that it's exciting. It's not draining. It's not, I'm writing a diary. It's really exciting. And the things that you get from journaling, right? You would want to write every day. You also want to do a social media detox because social media is really impacting our mental health a lot. So you want to do a mental health, a social media detox. What does that mean? Shut it down for a minute. Shut it down for a whole month, for a week, 7 days. Give yourself 24 hours where you're not watching, posting, or doing anything with social media. I've done that every now and then where I literally would take some time out and just disappear on social media. You want to engage, your audience. You want to engage the people. So what do? I step back, and then I have assistants that you will see posting, on my social media. So many of you might think, oh, she's never off. Yeah, I am off. I do have people that help me out. And sometimes what I do as well is I can schedule my postings for a whole week or a whole month. And then I stay back and I interact with, people when I can, and I can come back. But there's just, more relaxation in my life than, be there and present every day. It helps. You might want to do that as well. Learn how to play chess. The game of chess. It's one of those complicated games that, I'm still continuing to learn, but it engages my mind and it relaxes me. But it's one of those games that I know that it takes, thinking that you cannot be distracted if you're playing a game of chess. And that's the reason why I like it. So you might want to do that as well. Practicing positive thinking is a great way. And yes, get a coach, get a counselor, and help to, that will help you at least to release some of that emotional, baggage, per se. Why is it good to talk to somebody? Because listen, if you are a driver, which many of you are drivers, right? I've never heard anybody that drives a car without putting oil, servicing it, and stopping to just check in to see, what can they do with their car. I haven't seen it. But I don't know why we think that we can go with our minds and go through what we go through in life without purging and talking about it and releasing some of that stuff that is in our hearts, minds of what we've gone through. That's why it's important to talk to someone, because then many of those things, you want to talk about them. And when you let go, you really want to release and let go, because now you are at peace, or you have resolution, or you just know that, sometimes there are no resolutions to some of the things that we go through in life, but you won't get there unless if you process it with someone and talk about it. Number 3, emotional self-care. Emotional self-care involves feelings, learning to understand yourself, your emotion better through emotional self-care, which allows you to truly love and accept yourself. Isn't that the goal? To truly love who you are and accept yourself. Emotions manage the expression of your feelings and ultimately your behavior. So you can develop your emotional intelligence by doing several things. Let's say setting healthy, clear boundaries to protect your energy. Yes, set clear boundaries. You know what we do? We set the boundaries, and then we're the first ones to break those boundaries. And then what happens? You are distraught. You feel depleted. You feel exhausted. And many a time you might even say, people are taking advantage of me. And my question is, what boundaries do you have in place? Because people can only take advantage of you if they see that there's ways that they can actually literally get to you without you seeing that, they are coming after my mental health and my energy, and I need to protect myself. So you have to have those boundaries. When you have those boundaries, yes, people will continue to try you, but you will be able to control your emotions, how you feel, or how whatever they do makes you feel, because now you have boundaries. Spending time by yourself with no distractions, that is key. What was the last time, or when was the last time that you took some time to really be by yourself and just do things that nourished your own mind? Again, journaling will be a great way to process some of those emotions and feelings. And don't forget, speaking to a therapist really help. Having a good cry. It's interesting, when I was in Washington State and I was at this conference last weekend, we talked about men crying. Remember, I was talking about men and mental health, and we talked about men crying. I had one question that I knew was going to lead into a deep discussion with all the men that were present. I said, gentlemen, when was the last time that you cried? They all looked at each other and looked at me and said, I said, this one here, I'm not going to ask for volunteers to share. I'm going to go around the whole room. I have enough time. Each person, please try to remember when the last time was that you cried. I'm going to ask you the same question as you're listening to this. When was the last time that you cried? Having a good cry is really a good thing. So do not suppress your emotions, your feelings, because men are not supposed to be crying, because crying is a weakness, because I don't want him or her to see that I'm crying. Crying is good. You also want to practice self-love. And I have a whole different course on self-love that, I did, and a whole program that I'm coming up with. So if you are one of those people that continue to say, practice self-love, what is that? Don't worry about it. We're going to do it, and we're going to talk about it. Writing down positive affirmations, which are positive statements that help you go through each day. Today I woke up and I said, this is going to be one of the best days that I've ever done. And it is. And doing these lives, also make it really, really great days for me. But I know, having declared that everything that comes my way, if it's not making it one of those great days in my life, then it's not getting my energy, neither is it getting my time. Because I'm only entertaining those things that will make this one of the best days that I've ever had in my life. Number 4, which is the last one that I'll share with you, this part 1, is environmental self-care. In order for us to really thrive, we need to be in the right environment, whether that means inside, a coffee shop, a nice quiet home, in an office, surrounded by people that just make us relax and make us love ourselves, but make us enjoy ourselves. What is your environment like? What kind of environment are you? Are you in a home where you're not even talking to your partner? You're not even talking to the kids that are there, or with your roommate, whoever you are. What kind of environment are you in? Are you in a job where you're really exhausted, frustrated every day, and you drag yourself to say, do I really have to be here? Do I really need to be here? And sometimes we don't want to lie. The answer is yes, you have to be there because we've got bills to pay. And yes, you need to be there because you've got a family to take care of. But do you really have to endure that? Or can you have alternatives and change the environment that you're in? So make sure you create the right type of environment to work for you. It's up to you. You have the power to change your environment. You can't change the people. You can't change, if you're working for an employer and change the things that they're expecting from you, you can't change that. But you can change your expectations, the way that you show up, the contributions that you're contributing. Because sometimes we might be in an environment where, yes, I'm not happy with this person, but then how am I showing up? How am I contributing to me being miserable, or to this situation being miserable? And sometimes you change, and then the whole situation changes. The whole environment changes. Remember, your environment should always motivate you rather than distract you or make you feel depressed. So keep your personal space organized, clutter-free. Maintain an environment that makes you feel good, thrive, and just excel in everything that you do. Environmental self-care, activities that you can do might include like making your bed every day. Yes, something simple like that. Traveling for a change of scenery. I love traveling and it really helps. Tidying up your room, your space where you are, decluttering, throwing out or giving away things that you don't need anymore. Have a cup of tea or coffee, right? Listen to music. I love music, play music all the time. And if you have not been listening to my show every Sunday, which is called Let's Praise Him, where I play gospel music again to inspire, empower, I want to invite you to join my channel, which is on YouTube. It's called Let's Praise Him with Dr. Stam, and you will be inspired. But that's my self-care. But as I do that self-care, guess what? I share. You want to set a calm mood in your environment, whether it's in the daytime, you're in the evenings. You want to have an environment that is peaceful. Again, it's up to you. So this concludes my part one of this self-care. You see how I get so excited and I can just roll on and on and on and on. But I want you to be able to play back this part one. Pick a few things that you can start taking care of yourself and choosing to have that me time to do this week. And in that part two, I will share with you again 4 additional ways that you can take care of yourself in self-care. Have a wonderful, intentional week. This is Dr. Stam, and as I always say, be encouraged.